moderator today. I'll be doing this with Priscilla Poku. As you can see, our moderator is ready, so it will be good to kick off right away. On the call as well, we have co-founders of JobChat Connect. We have Gifty Mills, we have Euclid Onono, and myself, and we have Priscilla Poku. And also, like I mentioned earlier, we have our facilitator, Rashid. Before we move on, Euclid, if there's, I'm sure there's some announcement you want to make, so over to you.
Thank you, Rashid, once again for joining. Rashid, can I steal your spotlight for a moment just to give maybe a quick overview? I'll just share my screen.
Yeah. Let me start sharing.
Sure. Okay. I hope it won't mess up with yours.
No.
Okay, so for starters, and if it's okay with everyone, I think the recording is on. Rashid, for you too as well. For future, I think we will try and do some content out of this for the post event. So I hope all of us are okay with the recording. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining. We will move with time. I think the rest of the people will join us. We're expecting more people to join us. We go a few of the challenges with teams. But I have a simple task here for quickly in about 3 minutes, just to speak about what JobChat is about, so that for those of us who probably are listening for the first time and joining us for the first time, might have a little bit of understanding what is JobChat, who is JobChat, why is JobChat, what the name JobChat. Some of us are very much aware what JobChat is about. The JobChat basically is a platform where professionals who are into UX can relax, network, and talk. The goal is creating a space where we as designers can relax, exchange ideas, casual discussions, nothing too formal, and that's why the name comes JobChat and Connect. And the idea is that we need to have, we need to refresh from our on-screen moments. We're always looking on the screens, and so can we create a forum where we are not on the screens and we are discussing about what matters more about our professions, our profession, which is the UX design, in a very relaxed and a casual manner. So why did we start it? As I just spoke about this, a few laid-back UX spaces in Ghana. We didn't have much of that. I think a lot of those, or what was existing then, was very formal. Gaps in the UX advocacy in Ghana, you could really feel that there wasn't a lot of discussion around UX in the country, and even if it were, there's still more that is required in advancing the conversational user experience and advancing the profession. I think I've spoken to the philosophy, where I believe in a community that tries, where people feel comfortable enough to exchange ideas. And what makes this special is that usually when we have the JobChat meetings, there's no agenda. Usually, when we say no agenda, it's not formal. It's not a formal place where we sit down and we're formalizing everything. But we've grown since from the past year. We've had about this. We're going to have our 8th edition in June. And as we learn and try to restructure the meetup into a more engaging, more valuable meetup, there are things that we've put into place. And so the workshop is one of the events that we've said, okay, we will space out the meetup. Let it not be month on month, but in every consecutive month, and even every other month. So between the months, we'll have a workshop where we can deep dive and see some practical aspects. And so we're starting off with our first meetup, UX workshop under JobChat. You can see some of the images of sessions we've had. We play games. I think there's something that Felix and team have in place for us. This is us having some sessions as from last year. So basically, we've had these sessions. It's basically a meetup. And you can see Rashid was there. Rashid was there last year as one of our guest speakers. There's quite a number of them we've had, both locally and internationally, or some from South Africa, some from India, some from all the way in Brazil. and some locally here who have spoken to us about various practices, just having casual conversation around it, as we've had. So yeah, we're taking this to the next gear. We're expecting over 100 people here today. So help us to inform everybody else to come and benefit from this first ever, the debut maiden UX workshop, and Rashid is our first workshop facilitator. Awesome. Felix, that's it. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Euclid. Thank you. Once again, thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone for joining us, right? So for what we do at Chop Chat Connect, our tradition, we always do. If you've been here, you know that there's always something lined up, something special. So we are going to kick it off with some icebreakers. And I'll hand over to Fifi. Fifi is going to take us through that. Samuel, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. And so, as Felix rightly said, Chop Chat, what's Chop Chat without our friendly little games, right? To introduce a little bit of competition, right? So, for today, we have about two different games lined up. We'll just start off with this first one as an icebreaker. I'm pretty sure a lot of us may have seen or will be used to it by now. It's a simple UX trivia, right? And I'll share my screen in a second so you can scan the QR to join. However, for those that may not be able to use the QR, I'll drop the link so that you can also join. All right, so give me just a second. Yeah. Okay, please acknowledge if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
So you can scan the QR to join in or click the link that I'm dropping in the chat right about now. Yeah, so for those that click the link, you may have to enter the game pin, which is being showed up here, 8431960. Let me just copy that for you as well. Okay, I see Rashid has joined our first participant.
Am I allowed to participate?
No, please. It's a cheat. It's a cheat. Yeah, literally a walking cheat code. Okay, so we have two participants, 3, 4. Hey, someone is called Thrag over here. I'm seeing we have invincible fanatics in here. Okay.
Thrag, we beg. Thrag, we beg.
Thrag, we beg. Okay, Abna has joined. Once we get 10 participants, we'll just start. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 participants now. 3 more. Okay. All right. We have 2 left. Okay, so a little bit of good news for the students, right? If you manage to win this, we we are sort of promising you a day in the life with the Ecobank design team. So as we did for the last winner, she came into the Ecobank office. She sat with us in our meetings, in our design deliberations, spent a day with us, had lunch with us. And so, yeah, the students among us, if you are able to come on top, this time I think we'll take 2 of you. You will join the Ecobank design team in-house for a whole day so you can at least view how we do design. Okay. 4, 7. Okay, I'll give just a minute for a few other people to join. Okay, I think I'll just go ahead and start then. All right. Okay, are we ready for our first question? Which usability heuristic is most closely related to showing users where they are in a process? So you can just go ahead to select your answer. Let's see. Okay, so we had 6 people getting the answer. 2 people selected flexibility and efficiency of use. I'm sorry about that. It's a system status of visibility. So we move on to the next question. Hey, drag is on top. Oh, drag is on top. Okay. All right. Next one. In UX research, what is a leading question? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, 5 people got this right. A question that encourages the participant toward a particular answer. That's a leading question in user research. 3 people selected a question selected at the start of an interview. I can see why you'd select that, but yeah, this is what it is. Basically trying to influence the users or the participants towards a particular answer. Drag has been knocked down. Abna is now on top. Next question. Which metric is most directly used to measure whether users successfully complete a task? Whether users successfully complete a task. This is question 3 out of 13. We have 6 answers. Okay. Task completion rate. The majority also got this right. 2 selected daily active users. Sorry about that. Next question. Abna is still up top. That's great. What does recognition rather than recall mean in interface design? Recognition rather than recall. What does it mean in interface design? You see this a lot in design tutorials, design content, educational material, basically. Okay, again, we have the majority. We have some sharks in the house. So interfaces should make options visible instead of forcing users to remember. This is great. We have some very capable or apt UX sharks in the house. All right. 2 people selected users should recognize the brand before using the product. No, not necessarily. You don't force the user to remember when you can just show them. Thrag the Conqueror is up on top again, knocking Abna down. Okay, next question, question 5. In a usability test, why might you ask users to think aloud? Okay, we have 1 answer. 4 answers now, 5. 7 answers. Okay. Oh, okay. This is nice. Everybody got the answer this time. To capture what the users or the participants, I keep on saying users. That's how you see I'm a UX designer. But yeah, to capture what the participants are noticing, expecting, and misunderstanding. That's why we ask them to think aloud. Drag is still up top. Question 6. What is the main purpose of information architecture? You hear it a lot. IA. What is the purpose of it in interface design? Yeah, this one was quick. Almost everybody has answered almost instantly. Okay, organize content and functionality. We won't waste much time on this. Next question 7. We are halfway through. Which of these is a good example of error prevention? Showing an error after the user submits the form, letting users enter date format and failing later, showing a generic something went wrong message, disabling submit until required fields are completed correctly. 6 answers, 2 more to go. Okay, this one was a bit split. We had 4 getting the right answer. Disabling submit until the required fields are completed. Basically, you are preventing the error even before it happens, right? That's great. Thrag is still up top. I have a feeling I know who Thrag is, but we'll see. The next question. The next question. What is false affordance? A word that is used a lot in UX. False affordance. Elements that looks interactive, but it's not. A button that submits a form. A menu that expands when clicked. A link that opens a new page. Almost all participants have answered now. Yeah, we have the majority getting it right. 6 selected the correct answer and elements that looks interactive, but is not. Only 1 person was on the way. Okay, it's fine. Let's continue. Thrag still up there. Abna is also following, close second. Alex third. Anoni is 4th. Right. The question 9. Which of these is the strongest reason to run a card sorting study? Also one of the terms that is used a lot in preliminary UX work. What is the reason to run a card sorting study? Visual polish, server response time, final color palette. What's the answer? Okay. I think all the participants had the right answer here, so we won't waste much time. Abna is closing in on Thrag. Which UX concept is most closely related to reducing the number of decisions a user must make at once? Reducing the number of decisions a user has to make at once. Cognitive load, visual hierarchy, edge case mapping, brand recall. Okay, 6 got the answer. Cognitive load. Exactly. Visual hierarchy is not the right answer. Okay, we'll move to last but 3. Okay, what is the main purpose of a heuristic evaluation? Okay, we have 3 answers in. Okay, I think we have 1 more answer. All right, this one was split almost evenly. So 4 had the right answer: to review an interface against established usability principles. 3 of us chose to test the products with hundreds of real users. I can see why you'd select that, but heuristics is majorly against principles in usability. Oh, Abna overthrew Thrag. Okay. That's okay. Now we go to last but 1 question. Which of these best describes Hicks' law? Yeah, please no chat GPT in this one, we beg. I know we are here for AI, but let's just be fair. Users read faster when text is centered. People remember first and last items in a list. Okay, we had 4 people getting the answer. Decision-making time increases as number of choices also increases. The more options we are giving the user, the more time they take to make a decision. Decision paralysis, basically. Okay, the last Thrag has overthrown. Alex Abna is now in 3rd. Last question. What is the biggest UX risk of using only icons without text labels? who takes the crown here. All right, all eight got the answer right. Now it's a matter of who answered the fastest. Okay, let's reveal our winners. Number 3 was Abna. Oh, that's a nice one. Round of applause, please. Alex came second. And yeah, Thrag the Conqueror came first. Runners up were Anoni and Miguel. Thank you guys so much for participating in our games. We hope this has done something to at least loosen us up a bit, right? At this point, I'll hand over back to our moderator to take it from here. So as I said earlier, the top 2 people or top 2 students in the game get to spend a day with us in the Ecobank head office design team, right? Thank you so much. Felix, please, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Fifi. Thank you for loosening us up a bit. Congratulations, Doug and Alex. And so we'll be seeing you. Right. Okay. So now to get into the meat of the matter, to get into why we are here today. So in our last Top Chat Connect meetup, right? We spoke a lot about AI, design, all that. And today we want to put things into practice, right? We want to put things into practice. So our topic for today, or what we are going to delve in, is themed the usage of AI tools for designs, right? The usage of AI tools for designs. And we have an abled man here to take us through. He's well versed in this area. So Abdul-Rashid Lansah will be our facilitator, and he's a senior product designer, right, with experience designing and shipping AI native products across fintech, healthcare, and B2B SaaS or SaaS, right? He works at the intersection of design and engineering, and he has built and launched multiple products. And as he's come to take us through, I'm sure that we are all going to learn a lot. We are all going to put these things into practice. Before we start, there are going to be some house rules. So along the line, if you want to ask a question or you want some clarity or clarification on anything he's going to say, you can kindly raise your hand. So if you look at the top, you have some icons. You have a hand with the label raise. So you just tap on that and I'm going to see that your hands will be up. So based on the number or the time you raise your hand up, I'm going to call according to that number. So without saying much, I'll hand over to Rashid to take us through. Rashid, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Felix, for the opportunity, Euclid and team, and also Priscilla as well for the she's always been around to answer questions and give me what's up next and all that. So she's done really an amazing job in that. So thank you so much, Priscilla, for this. Yeah. So without much ado, my name is Rashid. I'm a product designer. This session, I'm hoping to learn from you as well, and I intend for this session to be as practical as possible. I mean, we have just an hour or an hour and 30 minutes, so I'll try as much as possible to keep it brief. And a little bit about myself. Currently, I'm working for a stealth company. We are kind of doing forward deployment engineering stuff. So we get embedded in some companies and we help them move from transition from kind of like a into a live build. Right now in this space, now that the AI has come into the midst, you can see that what is happening in the market is that things are actually changing so quickly. Today, you could have an idea, and then the next day, someone else will build it, and it's live. So there's the distance between like designing and engineering is now closer than we realize, and it keeps on changing. And it's a scary moment to be as a designer. But as designers, what we normally do is we adapt. We like to adapt really into any situations that we are put into. So that was me last 2 years or last year when I realized this was happening. I was working at an AI company. We're building it is an accounting AI slash business AI. And I left that job that was in August, and I was like, okay, now that AI is into the mist, and now every founder out there can just kind of spin up a UI design or maybe get something live, like using tools like Figma, Make, and all that. Maybe they might not need us so much. So it means that we need to upgrade ourselves as UX designers to be able to keep up to the market. So that's what I did. I became so curious. I already knew a little bit of kind of coding, maybe junior rank in that category. So it was easier for me to combine what I already know as a product designer, combining it with my coding skills. And then I was able to start building products. I first built an event management app. It was a very simple app. It's called Tikiti on App Store. It was kind of my first trial project. And it has about 1.7K downloads, which I did not want that to happen. It was kind of like a fun project, but some people took it serious, and it's still there out there for free. And I wonder what it will turn into. And I'm curious. I keep on improving it every single day to see where it goes. On the personal side, I love watching movies. Invisible is one of the shows that I watched recently, and I can't wait to see what the next season, now that track is on F, what's going to happen with Mark, who's Invincible. And also, I've read the comics as well, so I have some little bit of spoilers, but I just want to see on the screen. I also watch anime. I play FC26. Yeah, let me just not go into the nerdy stuff. But yeah, that is just about me. I also play football as well. So yeah. So today's session is supposed, let me share my screen. You'll probably see me jumping from one place to another because I have so many things open. And once in a while, I'll be trying to find out what is what I'm looking for. And now I'm going to try to find out where I can find my slides. So I'm just going to ask you guys if you can see, am I sharing my screen right now? Am I sharing a particular slide?
Yes, Rashid.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can see your screen.
All right, thank you. And I also, when I move to a different, do you see something else when I move to a different screen? Is it still on that slide?
It's still on that slide. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very, very much. So yeah, normally as UX designers, before we touch any particular design tool, we first of all need to understand what a problem is. But the real constraint is that when you join a particular company for the first time, there's usually like no users to interview, absolutely nothing. They just bring you on and like, yeah, our design doesn't really look good. Our customers are dropping off. The onboarding is bad. They don't really give you any specific thing to start with. So it becomes kind of like a challenge most designers face because they don't know where to start with. They don't have any foundation to start with. Normally, before AI, now that AI is in the midst, now speed from idea to design is something visible and testable. You've probably seen it. You can spin up a prototype easily with Figma Make with just a simple prompt. And also there's also lower cost of iteration. Back in the days when you present your design ideas and they ask you that, oh, can you produce 3 or 4 different versions? I mean, you'll probably panic. But now it is easier for us to do that. And now as a designer as well, it is now easier for you to code and produce working applications solo or with a team. And also research synthesis from raw notes to insights is also in minutes. There are so many tools out there you can use for your research. And also what a solo designer or small team can ship has actually also changed as well. You can build like really sophisticated tools alone now that we have AI tools in the midst. However, there are some things which are still not changing. And those are the core foundations of design. We have judgment, knowing what is actually good. It doesn't change, it's still there. And also understanding real user problems isn't changing and would never change. Spotting when something is wrong, even if it looks right, it never changes. And communicating decisions to stakeholders also doesn't change. And also being responsible for the final outcome as a designer isn't really changing. And what you're seeing here, not changing, has always been the core foundation of what UX design is all about. What you see on the left side is just, as you can see, most of them is UI and engineering and all that. So as a designer, I always say, or if you're a junior designer, you're starting early in your career, I always say that don't immediately start maybe like build your foundation really, really well in UX before you try using most of these tools. Because when you try using these tools from early on, you might not have the judgment, the right judgment to point when something is wrong. And we've all seen it somewhere that, especially with Claude and ChatGPT and all the AI tools, you know that when they are actually failing or they're saying something really wrong, they say confidently. You could share an idea with Claude or ChatGPT and to say that, oh, this is 100% genuine. Nobody has built it in the space yet. And then you ask it a couple of questions of like, oh, sorry, I was wrong. Somebody has built it. And to start telling you some couple of things. So you can see that some of these things, AI actually is very confident, even when it's making a lot of mistakes. So it is good as a designer to always keep your judgment. And the only way to do that is to make sure that your foundation is always really, really good. So as I was saying, you just join a team. Let me minimize this. You just join a team or taking a new client. There's the already products. Maybe it's live. Maybe it's something which sits right in the design. You fire their previous designer. There's no research documentation. There's no clear user insight. Just a Figma file and a brief from someone who says, we think users are having trouble with onboarding flow. That is just it. So where do you do? What do you start as a designer? You simply can't go straight into redesigning. It is actually wrong. It's one of the most fundamental things that as a designer you have to avoid. You first need to understand what's actually wrong first. But the question is, how then do you get user data fast? You go to the stakeholders and tell you that, oh, we don't have funds for this because you need to recruit users, you need to pay them and all that. They don't have funds for that. And at the same time, too, there are also no users for them to interview yet. However, now with AI tools such as Claude, we'll be using Claude for this particular session. And this is not an advertisement for Claude. It's a tool that I actually like using a lot. And that's what I'll be using. So Claude would not just for copy or code, but it's something that you can use as a research and thinking partner throughout the process. So this is going to be our workflow today. We are going to create synthetic users, random research when you can't access real users yet for about 20 minutes. That is our UX research with simulated data. And then we will just look at the market research and also do design audits with Claude. And then we'll do design in iteration with Claude as well. And then we'll look at the full loop. And then we'll have a Q&A session for everyone here. All right. So the very first thing that you need to do is to what? Simulate data, simulated data, because remember, the context is that you just joined the company. You don't have any data. They are no users. So you have to use synthetic users when you actually can't access real ones. And this is okay. Okay. Simulated data means that you ask Claude to behave as a specific type of user to respond to your research questions as that person would, based on the detailed persona you're going to give it. So you're not just going to go and just feed it anything. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. You're going to go inside and just feed it a particular persona because you actually know the problem you're solving. even though you just joined that particular company. You might have asked those questions already. And remember, as I mentioned, you use it early in the project when you have 0 users, when there's a new market, a new product, and no existing customers yet. However, when you have all these things, it means that you can use simulated data. You have to use the real data that the company gives you. And when you run the simulated data, it gives you a hypothesis to test. It gives you draft personas and likely pain points for you to prioritize. And this would be a foundation before real research would begin. And it doesn't actually replace real interviews. It doesn't replace feedback. And the simulated data is just directional. It's not definitive. So always validate with actual users. But then this gives you a foundation for you to start from. So first of all, I'm going to switch to Claude. And for most of this, we'll be prompting quite a lot. And we are going to build our persona and do that. So let me just stop sharing my screen and just switch to Claude, and then we'll take it from there. Does anybody have any questions so far whilst I'm trying to spin up Claude? Is there any question?
Doesn't look like, unless someone is raising their hand.
Oh, okay.
No hands are raised at the moment. So
Okay.
I'm sure we're all waiting to see the prompting aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. So second, spin up Claude. So Windows open here. Okay, there it is. Hey guys, see my Claude?
yes. Actually,
All
we
right.
can see it.
All right, thank you. You can probably see so many things happening. I'm a heavy user of Claude. I use it a lot. I'm not going to deny it. And it actually helps me move so fast as well. And I use it to code so many other things, ask questions whenever I need. But then at the same time, too, I always make sure that I'm the validator and not just kind of depend on it. So we're going to use Claude for this. And I have a couple of prompts that I have copied. I have already done somewhere. Remember, the very first thing we're going to do is to build our simulated user, and those are the persona details. So I have something here. And the problem space that we're actually solving for this is kind of like a tax manager for a non-technical person. That is the problem that we are solving here. I mean, this is one of the easier things that people do when they're starting out. You build a tax manager, you build a to-do list, you build something. However, even though this is quite simple, this is something that which has been solved, but then it gives us the foundation to use for other more complicated things in the future. So my very first prompt is going to be, you could actually do this in chat, you could do it in co-work, but normally I prefer co-work so that I can have things in a distance. So this is the persona that I'm actually defining. So I'm actually, I want Claude to act like that particular person. Abuna, a 34-year-old operations manager at a mid-sized logistics company in Accra. You manage a team of 8 and are responsible for tracking project deliverables across departments. And you are trying to move from your team from WhatsApp and spreadsheets to a proper project management tool. So the main frustration with tool feels right is they feel built for developers, not operations people. And you are mostly moderately tech savvy, good with Excel, but you just like learning new software. You care about simplicity and seeing everything in one place. So I'm going to ask you questions, blah, blah, blah. Answer as Sabina with honestly with specific details. So I'll just go in and just hit it. Let me make sure I have.
All right, Rashid.
Yes.
While we wait for Claude to do its thing, right? I realized a little bit about your prompting. I think the latter part, it says answer as Abena would, honestly, with specific details. Don't be too positive. Real users have friction. So it's like you creating or being the cognitive bridge with how Claude should give their feedback.
Yep.
Maybe you can let us understand your thinking with adding that specific prompt to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So yeah, as I mentioned, Claude normally it makes mistakes. AI is not intelligent yet these days. Everything is very directional. It just picks up, just lets things several times that when you ask it, and sometimes it hallucinates. And it tries to actually feed your ego in a way, try to make sure, because in one way or the other, it's also kind of like marketing. The people want you to keep on using it, keep on. So sometimes it just strokes your ego. So mostly when you're prompting, it's good for you to ask it to actually be as honest as possible so that it doesn't try to give you the answer that you want to actually hear. So even when you remember, one of the foundations of prompting is usually garbage in, garbage out. So once you feed it something which is bad, it will give you the same garbage and all that. So this particular last aspect of the prompt is kind of to give it a particular guardrail to make sure that it answers as honest as possible and also try as much as possible to fit into the shoes of a real user out there. Because Claude, yeah. So basically, that's just what we did with that aspect.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, so Rashid, a little something before we continue, right? Since we want to follow, we want to replicate what you're doing, we would kindly ask that probably the promptings you can just drop in the chat. We also try our hands on it so that if there are things we also see on our end, we can just work it out.
Okay.
Right? Thank you.
Let's do that. Thank you very much for that. So I've just dropped that in the chat. So the very first thing we're doing, remember, we are building a simulated user. All right. So the prompt, I've shared it in the chat. We're building a simulated user first. All right. I think Euclid probably has his hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing the prompt. So that means that the rest of us can also be playing with this. I was just about to ask, is there a specific reason why perhaps for this initial stage we're using Claude and not any other AI? Because the challenge with okay, so looking at speed, another maybe Gemini would have given us a faster response for this specific prompt. This one. Can we do Gemini and then come back and get the result and continue with Claude?
You want me to use Gemini?
No, I'm asking. Is it that you want to keep a history for the project, or can we maybe just use this same prompt you put, use Gemini, use GPT or whatever, and then come back and continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Please use Gemini or any particular AI tool that you're okay with. I mean, it is just a matter of choice and also for this. However, I use so many of these AI tools because sometimes you notice that one of them isn't really giving you the answer that you want. So it's good to always have so many of them so that you can compare and be able to choose which one is the best. So please use this in other ones as well. But yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. All right, so Claude is in. Let's go ahead and ask it a couple of questions. So what we've done currently is we are building a simulated user, and we've just used the prompts. If this had been maybe a more like a face-to-face session, we would have probably built the prompt ourselves because we're trying to move fast and all that. That's why I have all this pre-done before this. So yeah. So the next thing we're going to do is let me try to find my screen. All right. So the next things we're going to do is to ask it our research questions. Remember, this is UX research that we're doing first. And we're going to ask a couple of questions. So I have a couple of questions here. But however, I have 3 questions that I'm asking. I still want to find out from you guys if anybody wants to add something else. So these are my 3 research questions. I'm going to paste it in the chat as well. Okay. Does anybody have anything to add to the 3 research questions that we have here?
I don't think so. We can move on for now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit it then. Yes.
We were still reading.
Sorry.
We were still reading. I was saying we were still reading, but
Yes.
yeah, I think you can go ahead.
You're still reading. Yeah. I forgot that I'm actually jumping around. So I want Paul to walk me through the last time a sign up. Remember, this is a simulated user. So it's acting as Abena, who has this friction. Abena is not that technical. And most tools that we see out there, you've probably seen them. Trello, Jira, Notion is a little bit better. Linear, most of them are kind of like really built for developers who are technical or project managers and all that. So Abena has problem using this, and Abena is someone who has used. The team is using WhatsApp and spreadsheets, and she has frustrations with current ones. So we want Abena to walk us through the last time she signed up for a new work tool and what happened in the first 5 minutes. Remember, what we are trying to solve here probably, what our new company that we joined, they're saying that there's something wrong with the onboarding. People are dropping off and all that. So that's what we're trying to solve. And also, we're trying to find out what's the most frustrating part of getting a new tool set up for your whole team. Remember, Abena works with a team. And the last one is, what would be a perfect onboarding experience for a project management tool look like to you? So what?
A quick,
Yeah.
Just for me, I'm thinking, if I am looking at this, I will probably ask the question: if Abena got frustrated, did she get frustrated to a point that she decided to go look for another option?
Okay.
So yeah, did she? How to phrase it now?
So how do you frame it?
What happened? Did your frustration lead you to looking out for other tools?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
Just being an active listener. Thank you.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Try other
Thank you.
tools. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to hit enter and let's see what that spins up. Remember, you can try this at your end. You can use Gemini. Okay, so let's say, all right. Okay. So Abena said that she used Asana. That was 3 months ago. And a colleague, probably Felix said that Asana is so good. So Abena tried up. So she signed up and right away it asks whether she was in engineering, product, marketing, design. And she scrolled looking for operations or logistics because that's what she was doing. And so she picked something and felt wrong about it immediately. Then it dropped her into an empty screen and asked if I wanted to create my first project. But it had templates like sprint planning, backtracking. You get what I'm saying? So that's not her world. And she doesn't have sprints and tracks. And she doesn't need to be in. I have tracks. She has tracks that need to be in Tema by Thursday. So in 5 minutes, she went from feeling excited to feeling like I walked into some wrong meeting and all that. And the next one is says that the most frustrating part, she still went ahead and used it, was that getting 8 people to use it. Because every tool I can set it up beautiful on my end, but my team lives in WhatsApp. So if they send them a link and I invite email, half of them would click it. And the one who do not create an account and they never open it again. So she's chasing updates in 2 places. We've seen it happen several times. And she mentioned that the onboarding she felt like opening Excel. It will feel like opening an Excel file for someone already set up for me. So she said that would be a perfect onboarding for her. So she gets into it. It feels like Excel sheet that someone has created for her and it works for her. So it just comes, not a blank screen asking her what she wants to build and few questions and all that. That is not so important to her. And the last question that you asked, she said, yeah, that before she tried Asana, she tried Trello, which she liked more because it was simpler and the card makes sense to her. But then it fell apart when things when she needed to see things across different projects at once. Okay. So these were all the frustrations she had. And when she decided to use different tools, this is what we had. So at this particular stage, who can explain to us what it has done? What is this aspect in terms of UX design? What do you call this? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I was just trying
Please,
to
my
find out.
able
Yeah,
audience. I
yeah,
think Ransford. Yeah, Ransford, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah. Hi, Abdul.
yeah. Hello, Ransford.
Yeah, I would just want to contribute to the question that you asked. I think this is part of the discovery stage of the UX
Yep.
process. Just trying to figure out some of the pain points that the users might be going through and
Yeah.
trying to identify what the actual issue is before you even head into any design tool.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll ask you, Ransford, in case, just if you were speaking to a real user, some of these things like the frustration, the things that you've discovered, are they things that you would have heard from a real user as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are very, very
Absolutely.
like you can tally them to real life situations that people would have probably gone through. So this is like a very, very good simulation.
Okay. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Ransford. So yeah. So we've
Okay.
gotten our pain points. So in case we're doing the user interviews, this were some of the questions we would have asked. This would have been the answers we would have gotten, maybe a little bit different and all that. Then after that, when you get all those questions, you know when you're interviewing somebody, you just listen. As a UX researcher, a product designer, UX designer, you listen at that particular point. You don't really interrupt them. You try to listen, observe what they say, and write down some few notes. So now that we've written every single thing, now we come back to Claude. The next thing that we're going to do is synthesize our findings, okay? Because we've now come back to our team. Let's say Euclid and his team. You know, okay, we've done our interview. Now let's try to find out let's synthesize our findings and really try to see if there are some recurring themes. Remember, even though this is just one person, but normally in a normal UX research process, you probably interview so many people, okay, and you come look at for recurring themes and all that, but you still do it in it as a team and use all the research methods at your end to do that. But yeah, but in this case, we have a cheat code, we are using Claude, and we are just using one user. So please pardon us for that. So the next thing we're going to do is synthesize that. And this is the prompt. I'm going to paste it in the chat. Okay. Our research.
There are four questions before you hit it.
Sorry.
There are 4 questions. I was just prompting you for you to make a change.
Oh, okay. No problem. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here now.
You're saying you've answered 3 research questions. I was saying there are 4. We asked 4.
Ah, there are 4. Oh yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. You see what we're saying? So remember, you've changed something. Who would have known what Claude has done? So thank you so much for the great attention to detail. Yeah. So we're just going to synthesize that. And remember, we are trying to get our pain points that have been expressed on onboarding because we know the particular problem we're solving for. And we are trying to find out what they need from tools first run experience and a testable hypothesis that will bring it to a design review based on this. So we'll just go ahead and this. And now we are asking Claude to step out of character. Remember, this is very important. The first thing we are trying Claude to act, it can act as different characters depending on what you feed it. So I want you to now act as a UX researcher. Normally, you could have done this alone. You could have sat down and look at all the interviews, rewatch the videos, look at all the scripts. So if I'm actually doing this in the real world and I have all the meetings transcribed and recorded, all I need to do is to get every single thing together, summarize and everything, and now come and feed it into Claude. So that's the works in a way. Yes, Felix.
Yes, sorry. So there's a question in the chat from Stephen. As part of your promptings for like the 4th question, which has to talk about frustration. It says, did the frustration push me to try others? I think that can be the fourth question, I guess. Unless
The
I'm
fourth question
mistaken
on
from
the
Stephen.
No,
Felix?
so Felix, he's adding it because in the what Rashid
Yes.
posted, the fourth one was missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
The
just
fourth
adding
was
for
missing, yeah.
yeah, he was adding for the
Yeah,
rest
just
of us,
adding 4 here.
for the rest of us who are also doing it on alongside. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. Yeah. I'm gonna hit enter. And then let's see. So he's stepping out as character. Now it's a UX researcher. It's acting as you. So say you are a UI designer, you're a visual designer. I mean, your UX research isn't that great, but then you still want to be able to give something to that new company that you just joined based on, even though it's simulated data, it's still data in a way, because Claude has really been trained well on real data. So you can use that as well. So this is what Claude has given us from that. The pain points. The first one is rule mismatch at sign up. There are no operations. And then they also serve templates from a domain that she doesn't understand, because in where she's working, she doesn't need sprints, she doesn't have bug tracking and all those kind of things, and it's not for her. The second one is the blank canvas burden. That is kind of like an issue. It's kind of debatable. She's expected to architect the whole workspace. She doesn't want to do that from an empty space, because this is the first time she's using the distance. So it feels more like an expect than for her. And the third one is also team adoption. I've written a couple of articles about it, because sometimes when you're designing things, especially in Africa, it's good to design things that are based on behaviors that are existing in your particular like environment or wherever you are. So for instance, one of the reasons that maybe sometimes a lot of Ghanaian applications do not really work is because they do not kind of follow existing patterns. Like we know that everybody or most Ghanaians live in WhatsApp. So if WhatsApp is kind of doing something really nicely and you move that into an application, people still go back to WhatsApp because they're comfortable using WhatsApp. So for instance, if maybe you're building something for a bot for people to be able to order food from for a particular restaurants and all that, and you go and build a full application for that, it will still be a pain for people to go and open that application to order food. However, if you build a bot that lives on WhatsApp, people will still use it because that's what they're comfortable with. So the behavioral patterns is really good. And whatever you design, you have to make sure you design for what the people are actually comfortable with based on research. And also, it means that a pre-populated recognizable starting point in a own vocabulary, not a blank space, and not a tutorial. She wants the tool to ask a couple of plain questions and generate a workspace that resembles her works, deliverables, owner, due date, status. So she can start edit by renaming. Okay, she doesn't want a blank canvas. And also, one testable hypothesis that we have here: if first run replaces the black canvas with a rule tailored pre-filled workspace, operations, vocabularies, sample deliverable, etc. Then a new operations users will reach a meaningful first action, editing or completing a real deliverable within the first session at a higher rate than with the current blank state flow. So this particular hypothesis, we are trying to, I know you guys to go into the, we have a null hypothesis and all that. So based on this, we are trying to test this hypothesis. And remember, the goal of this particular research is to enable us redesign what the company already has. And they've seen it, even though in a plainer terms that the issue that the users are having is that they're not able to complete onboarding. They just drop off and all that. So this is our hypothesis. And it actually kind of like points to that particular problem that we are trying to solve. Okay, so Claude goes and on, like it's testable and all those kind of things. We can run A and B, moderated usability testing, what and all those kind of things as well. So we'll go the next aspects of it. I think I didn't even paste this. I didn't send it.
Yes, I was
put it
about
in
to
the
ask.
chat, but yeah, I didn't put it in the chat. Sorry about that. I just did now. So you can run it. If you're running at your end, you can run it as well.
Sure. And then Rashid, I think the time check, just conscious of time.
Yeah, I just realized
Sure.
that we distant, but I'm sure we'll be able to hit something before 11:30. All right, thank you so much. So yeah, now we have our research foundation, okay? And now let's take it to the market. Remember, as designers, I mean, there are so many ways people design. Normally, I try as much as possible not to look at competitors, like in the beginning. I try to define the problem I'm solving. And the reason is that what your competitors or what the market is doing is probably not the same problem that you're solving for. So if as a designer, you just go straight into the market and try to get Notion, open Notion, Trello, take some screenshots, okay, and then just come put it in your canvas and start designing. You might end up designing for different users because Trello, Asana, Notion, Linear, they're all designing for different use case. Okay. So, however, they also have some bits of it in terms of foundation that actually works for their users. So there are certain kind of like interceptions. Let me use interceptions for that. So you could go ahead and learn from the onboarding of Notion because it's successful, or from the onboarding of Trello, it's successful. So now we go into the market to try and find out what people are doing there. So, and that is just the competitive analysis. So possible, maybe the company you joined, they'll tell you, yeah, these are our competitors, A, B, and C. That's good. Sometimes you don't have that. You have to do it yourself, Google research. Or maybe these days you could just ask Gemini, and Gemini has access to the internet, so it will give you that. So we have our research hypothesis. Now we need to know how is this problem being solved in the markets, okay? And how does our existing design compare to what we just learned? So this is the chain that makes Claude useful in design. So it is context. We've gotten the context already, and now we are ready to carry it forward. So I have a prompt here, which is going to help us do just a competitive analysis. Normally, you would have done this manually, but we can simply ask Claude because it has access to the internet. So I'll go ahead and copy the prompts, and then find my, okay, let me first paste it in our chat. I have so many tabs open. So yeah, there it is. So this are competitive. This is prompt. Come here, paste, and then enter. Remember, some of these competitors that we got, remember, we didn't just do it from just a Google search. Some of these competitors were mentioned by our users when we interviewed our simulated user, Albana. So remember when we interviewed her, she mentioned that, yeah, after she had frustrations with this, she just went ahead and tried Trello as well. So you see, and the one she was using is before was Asana and all those kind of things. So we look out for those tools that our users mention in the user interviews, not what we think are the competitors. So please take note of that. So you can see it's just running and like a search on the web, trying to find out all the details that we need. So what it's just doing is just, it wouldn't just list the features, it's going to evaluate against our research hypothesis that we have, and yeah, and then surface it for us. So whilst it's still doing that, let me share this. Let me stop sharing, then share this with you. Let me enter this as well.
So the Claude is doing
Yeah,
the comparative analysis, right?
Yeah, it's doing the competitive analysis.
Wow, GPT is already done. Okay, so
It's already done.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there's
okay.
a speed. Yeah, okay, no issue. No issue.
Yeah. Okay. Second. What did GPT say? Here's. Is it possible that hello?
It's a long test, so I just posted it there.
Ah, you first started. Okay, okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so you guys can see what GPT has done. You can compare it to what Claude has done as well. Remember, always try to use two different tools so that you're not biased. As a designer, you try as much as possible to reduce as much bias as possible. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Like trying to simulate. I try to simulate maybe what that existing tool that Abena is using looks like, or the company that I joined, how their design or how their live product looks like currently. And this is it. So I'm just going to ask you guys, for instance, if you get on this particular lesson, you just sign up. What would you do first on this particular screen? What would you do first if you get here? So you just sign up for this particular platform. What will you do first when you get here?
Get started.
Okay, so just started. Okay, interesting. So, okay. So where do you begin from here? You just sign up. Where do you even begin? In a way, invite you. So that does it state where you need to begin as well? Yeah.
Not really. It just gives you various action points to take. So create your first project, invite your team, but not specifically saying where to start from.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So yeah, so you can see that decision is actually quite difficult because it doesn't give you where to start from. It just gives you so many things. And this is kind of like a simple error that most products usually do because you could click create your first project and maybe there's a dependent. You probably need to maybe integrate some other things before maybe creating your first project would work. Or you could click watch a quick tour and maybe you watch a quick tour, but it is a video. You have to watch it and come back and do and all that. So it feels like a whole tutorial on its own, or maybe it's a tour step by step, but that might not work it for you because at the end of the day, to just tour you around the app, but it doesn't tell you exactly where to begin and where to get the first value as a user. So I mean, enough with the audit. Let me get back to Claude as well. Let me stop sharing and then share my Claude tab. Okay. So this is what Claude has. You can see, I can see difference between what GPT gave us and what Claude gave us. GPT kind of gave us something more structured from what I got from the charts. You could see it. It gave us something more structured and all that for us to read, very, very technical. But Claude has something else. And it gives us all the Asana, Trello, Notion. It does competitive analysis and it does some cross-cutting patterns that are actually present in all of them as well. So it does all those things for us and really, really well. I mean, we have like 10 minutes left. Okay, I think someone also. Oh, no, that's the same thing. I thought I saw something different, but I realized that that's what Euclid shared with us again. Okay. So now the next thing that we'll do afterwards is now we're going to design against our research. Remember, we have our competitive analysis. We also have our user interviews, and we have an existing design. Now we're going to design against the research that we've had. So remember, I've also showed you what you like So we're just going to now audit against research. Remember, as a designer, sometimes you're tempted to use your intuition because you join a company, you see some of these things like the way, like if I had asked somebody to, what would you do over here? You use your own intuition on tax bridge. You would have used your own intuition to tell us that, okay, no, let the user start here, let them start here, let them start there. Or maybe you say that, you probably say that, oh, this color is not really good for this type of users. And before you realize there's a lot of arguments out there and you might not know where exactly to go. So, however, so let's say you do that, you use your gut feeling and you come to stakeholders to present to them what you think. You end up saying, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think. And someone else will start saying what they think, what they think, what they think. So at the end of the day, there'll be a lot of a clash of opinions. However, if this is something that you actually went through with proper research, you would actually point out this is what the research is saying, and this is not what you are saying. So this process is just to enable us, avoid us, and also be able to properly move forward as UX designers that sometimes most of us fail to do. So we're going to now audit our research. Audit our design against our research, and this is the prompt that we have. Hope I still have Claude sharing. Guess I do. So you can see what I've done here is just simply explain to it what I showed you, the design I showed you, the tax bridge, what it does for after users sign up. You could have also kind of shared a screenshot of that as well if you had wanted and attach the screenshot so that Claude actually has more context about what you're doing. So it just shows that after they sign up, they land on the full dashboard. It shows 5 empty state cards, project stats, all those kind of things, and a tooltip, and then the start creating your first projects and all those. A get started button in the center opens a model with different onboarding paths to choose from. And now we are asking Claude that based on our research findings, users feel overwhelmed by too many options on day one. Remember what Abina said. 2, non-technical users need a clear linear path, not a feature tour. And 3, the most important first action is create one project, invite one team member. Remember, all this were from our research, what Abena mentioned. So we are asking it to audit this design. Where does it feel the user needs? And what are the 3 problems? So we'll just go ahead and do that.
So please share the prompts. I'm sure this is where Claude now
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. This way one.
Claude will beat GPT.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, so it's doing that. Okay, started seeing some things. It gets started opening some middle with 5 pass, and there's choice overload at the exact moment the user knows lists. I think in our Kahoot, there was a particular question that was, who can remember? There was something which was pointing out to something like this in our Kahoot. I can't quite remember, but it
Is it
seems there
on
was something.
cognitive overload?
Yeah, that was on cognitive overload. Yeah. So there's a particular question on cognitive overload with so many options. So they get confused. They could just try one, doesn't work, and then come in distance. So that's one of the things that needs to solve. And it actually looks at the usability and has graded it based on severity as well. Those critical and those which are kind of like moderates as well. And yeah, it also talks about the visual hierarchy as well. And now it looks at the top 3 problems. That it shows the destination instead of path. So landing on full dashboard violates findings 2 directly. Remember, non-technical users need a clear linear route. You've given them the cockpit. Fix, get the dashboard. So after sign up, you have to route them in a focused full screen guided flow. Only reveal the 5-card dashboard once a project exists. Okay, you've probably seen it somewhere else. So you go through a proper onboarding. Some of the aspects, some of the parts could be skipped in a way, but they still go about it. Like maybe those which are not probably that important, you make it optional. And also the get started modal multipliers choice at the worst possible moment. So 5 onboarding paths is a literal onboarding of finding number 1. We have it. And that is overwhelmed by options, the cognitive overload. So a new user has no basis between those 5 paths. They don't know the product yet. So you have to fix it. You have to collapse into a single opinionated path. And then you branch based on what they choose. And it says that the most important actions is deprioritize and the invite step is missing. Remember, one of the things Sabina mentioned was that she works with a team, so she needs to invite her team members. And it's very, very critical as well. So, and yeah, all those kind of things. I have like 3 minutes. Let me get my last prompt, then we can.
But you need
All right.
please share this one first before the last one.
Okay. Let me share this prompt. I think I probably have it already copied. Let me find my. Okay, I have it here. Okay, let me get my last prompt. So now that we have your research, you now have your audit and every single thing. Now, as a designer, you need to design. So this is the time that we actually go on Figma, start sketching something. So, and this is the point that most of us normally fail. We end up just producing just one particular version of the design, and we go back and be like, can you produce another version and all those kind of. So at this particular point, once you have all those things synthesized, please try as much as possible to do at least 3, maximum 3. Let's keep it to 3 different versions of the solution that you have for that particular problem. So we're going to ask Claude to actually give us those design directions as well. And then it gives us that. Okay, so it's giving us a direction to go with. I'm going to move so quickly with this, but who wants to give us a direction that we should go with? I mean, based on the kind of like the titles. You don't have to read every single thing. Just need this thing. Which direction should we go with? Which direction do you want us to go with?
I would go with pre-filled startup project.
Direction 1, pre-filled startup. This one. Okay. So
Yeah,
direction 1.
2.
Direction 2. Thank you very much. So let's do this. Let me get a screenshot. I'm going to move quickly. I have just a minute. I hope it's not a problem if I get 3 minutes. I thought this presentation was supposed to be 1 hour 30 minutes. So I prepared for 1 hour 30 minutes.
You have like another 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, we're almost done. So let me get this screenshot of tax bridge for more context. Make sure this, I'm sure we've already provided enough description for Claude to understand. So I'm going to come over here, paste the screenshots of the design. I mean, the current design that we are trying to change. Normally, this is a stage that you would have gone to Figma and start sketching and all that. Please, you can still do that. However, now that we have AI in the midst, things have changed. You don't have to kind of like sketch every single screen, and you still don't have to go high fidelity. This is like wireframing or low fidelity design has never been more important than it is now. I mean, it's always been important because it helps you save costs and all that. But now it is very, very important because this is a project you're working on. Remember, they already have their design system, their color palette, and all those kind of things. So you don't need to go in a different direction. And if you've given Claude the design system, the color, and all those kind of things to do, Claude will be able to produce exactly that design for you that you can share with stakeholders. And we are still going the normal design route. So you've tried to solve the problem with onboarding. So when you're going to meet your stakeholders, you are supposed to present a prototype to them. So you're just going to get a prototype of what, of the redesign, and then share with them. You could do this using Figma Make and get the Figma site then to share with them, and then walk them through the design decisions that you have made. You could also do something I like most these days, is to generate a single HTML CSS file, so that is clickable and easy, and they can just click through and do that. So that's just what we're going to do. Okay. Okay, I'm coming. So I'm just going to do kind of like a 2 prompts in one. Based on the direction right? Say one paragraph design decision brief for the direction we chose. So we chose for direction 2. We chose direction 2. Okay. Direction 2. Generate. Sorry. Single HTML CSS file. Using the same color, using the same color palette. In addition to the design brief.
Basically, what you're saying is,
yeah,
I can, because I've already done all this analysis, or this is how you go about it. Because you've already done this analysis, you can sketch out this stuff, and then based on your sketching, you can then upload the sketch and then give it more prompts to generate the final design. Okay, I see.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone might think, okay, should I not necessarily the sketch it myself? Can I get the sample sketch that the AI will give me?
Yeah. So it all depends on the direction you want to go to. So, I mean, you could do, if you chose direction 2, remember, right now you are actually using the AI to actually suggest the directions for you. So if you chose direction 2, you could use the AI to still give you direction 2, because it actually knows what direction 2 is. However, maybe if you are doing this with a team member, you have to come together and now sketch all the different directions and all that. So at that instance, if you decide to pull away from the AI mist, then at that instant, you now present the wireframes that you have actually kind of like chosen as a team, export it as a PDF of anything at all, and now feed it into Claude and ask Claude to produce maybe a higher fidelity design for you. But because we're just kind of doing everything with AI, that is why I decided to just use a screenshot of what we already had in the company that we are redesigning. But yeah. So, and also the rationale or design decision document is also quite important, because remember, when you go to present it to stakeholders, I always mention this. When you're speaking to developers, it's always different. You talk about tokens, you talk about states, you talk about edge cases, you talk about APIs, and all that. Developers like to hear that. However, when you're speaking to PMs, you're speaking to CEOs and everything, they want to hear something else. So a PM would like to hear how you actually solve the problem, your user research and all those kind of things. But a CEO high level, they just want to hear that, yeah, this particular research you've made, this redesign would probably be able to kind of like speed up onboarding by 5 times or something, or maybe that particular problem that you're solving. So it's good to always know, depending on the stakeholders you're presenting your design to, you change or switch a particular lingua that kind of like aligns with them. I've had this experience when I was a junior in a startup. I met the CEO and I was supposed to present a design to him. And I started with, so I was thinking, this was the market research I made. This was the initial design, and I compared the initial design to the current redesign and all those kind of things. And it felt like I was wasting his time, because he did not really have time. for all that. So I learned from my how to call it, our team lead then. He guided me on how to go about this, the type of language I use, because a kickoff with developers always different from a kickoff with kind of like stakeholders, because they want to see how this is making them money. They want to see that most users are actually signing up and they are not dropping off. At the end of the day, it has to translate into money for them. So that is why, as a designer, product designer, you are kind of like you sit in between the business outcomes and also the users. You have to always play kind of like a devil's advocate. You have to be in between. Although your primary job there is to fight for the users, but unfortunately, it doesn't really work out that way. So that is why most designers, we always kind of like feel like we don't have a seat at the table, because we are always talking about users, design, this color, that. So at the end of the day, when the people who need to promote you, they probably will not get the kind of like benefit. It's kind of like a communication problem. So when you keep up talking that way, you probably become maybe a team lead in your department or something, but you might not actually move forward to becoming maybe a VP of products. You only move to a VP of product when you start speaking this type of language, that this will make us earn this money. This will lead to this. You start from the beginning. This is a problem we're solving. It will lead to this. It will lead to this. It will make us earn this money. We're able to move from this to 1 million ARR using this particular strategy and all that. That's what they need to hear. So always try to iterate your kind of like your presentation based on the people that you're going to meet. So we have two things that we have done. I don't know whether I did okay, that was the design brief. Yeah, I said I didn't want to do this, but it ended up okay. So it did move in one. Let me open this with Chrome. Let me stop sharing and share my Chrome. And then I think this will be it. Then if you have questions, share that specific screen. All right. So normally players don't do this though. You could do it as separate files, but Claude just simply just put everything in HTML because my prompting was so wrong. So I produced the design brief as a document and then the other one as something else, as just a single HTML file, so that at least I can click through. So this is what Claude gave us for direction 2. Yeah. So I think I will just kind of stop here and see if there are questions that I can answer. And also remember that this design is an iterative process. There's nothing like maybe final or this is the finale. So even when you get to this side, there's still more things you can do. So you can always keep on iterating with Claude. Use your design foundation to create a Claude, because this is what you got. None of us in our industry would never, in a way, present this asset look like this to stakeholders. I mean, with all emojis and all those kind of things, we'll probably try to make it look much, much better. And right now, it's quite easier. So assuming you did this in Figma, you could actually use the Figma MCP tool to translate a high fidelity custom design that you did in Figma into a working prototype on Claude. I mean, that is probably the direction that you can go with. So yeah, thank you so much for the time, and look forward to questions from the group.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Rashid. This was very insightful, and I know that you had to rush through some of the things, but yeah, we are grateful. We are grateful for what you've taken us through. And please, you can go ahead to raise your hand up, and then I'll be going around to call if you have your questions. I'll kick mine off. I have a question or a bit of feedback from you or clarity from you, right? So I think at the tail end of your last prompting, right, you mentioned that right now with the way design is going, sometimes you don't necessarily have to have your wireframes, right? And Claude can do or bring something up for you. However, if you want it tailored, you can have your design system embedded in the Claude for it to give you something of a refined look, or based on the brand guidelines, or again, components from your design system, right? My question is, or I don't know if that's going to take another process. How would you embed that? Will you just take screenshots of your design system and then upload it, or you have a specific way of doing it? That'll be my first question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I mean, it all depends on the stage of the company that you're actually joining or you're part of. So, if it's a company or a team that already has design systems in Figma, all you need to do is to build these components via using Figma MCP into Claude, because Claude really understands code really well. So, use the MCP server, build it with code. Okay, as a design system with all the tokens, with all the states, all the code for each particular component. Okay, that will sit in one. Two, we also have an MD. You could actually translate it into an MD file that you would put into Claude. That, okay, this is our primary colors, this is our secondary colors, this is our hover, this is states, this is our empty states, and all those kind of. But the problem with that is that it's not that visual. So Claude will probably make mistakes. It will try to guess things. So the best way I would do, if we already have an existing design system, is to build it with code. And first of all, if you already have it in Figma, it's easier to translate it into Claude with code. However, if it's maybe nothing of that sort exists yet, the company doesn't have maybe anything of that sort, but they have it something, they have a design that is there. You could also use screenshots from that particular design and then use it to build a design system. So in putting those screenshots, Claude will be able to synthesize and find out maybe certain discrepancies between those, and be able to give you a proper design system, a proper color palette that it's always used for every single kind of project that you're going to build in that particular kind of like project. So if you use Claude Code, it has context of everything that you're feeding it. However, when you keep on prompting, after some time, it loses that kind of context. So if initially maybe what you had was you just tested it in the chat, you realize that it will lose it. It will lose that context and to start hallucinating maybe after several days. However, if you have that particular design system as kind of like a code, an HTML file somewhere in your file, you can always kind of like point Claude Code back to it so that you can use it. I don't know if that answers your question. And if it's that maybe if it's starting from scratch, I'll still go the traditional way. I'll still try to define all my colors, all my brand guidelines, every single thing in Figma before I jump into Claude. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. So the idea is to be elaborate as possible with the AI tool you're using in order to get a desired outcome. All right. Thank you very much, Rashid. Please, the floor is open. If you have your question, kindly go ahead to ask as we edge towards the end of this workshop. All right.
So yeah, mine is more of a commendation to Rashid. I think I've been using AI, I think, since it became a thing. And I think the way that you conducted the session has given me insights into some of the things that I never actually considered myself, especially the simulation aspect of things. I've always been of the view that, okay, well, it's either we use real users. The almost always the only other alternative for me personally was, okay, if we don't have access to users, then let's look at our competitors and then do benchmarks and pick out what's working for them. But I think this simulation thing it's really great in the sense that it allows you to form an initial hypothesis, as you said, and then use that as your starting point, not as your single source of truth, but as a starting point to sort of guide you into which areas you should be looking at, potential pain points, potential features or boons that you could use to bait customers or users. And I think I'm really grateful and happy that we brought you on this session. Thank you so much. Very insightful.
Yeah, thank you so much, Samuel, for that. Yeah, I'm glad it reflected. Yeah. And yeah, of course, we're all seeing it. UI in a way is becoming easy as time goes on. Right now, what AI produces as UI is, forgive me, is crap. In a way, when you look at just does this purple gradient stuff, all of us can spot it in a mile. However, one interesting thing which is happening is that stakeholders like it. Like you work in a company and the CEO gets excited about a particular UI that he has generated. They like it. They kind of just like it. They just generate a UI. I'm like, yeah, I've seen a particular company that this was just graphic design. The CEO learned how to generate posters with ChatGPT or something, and then he generated one, and then he called 2 or 3 of those people in the company to come and compare what he generated and what the internal team has been doing. And those people surprisingly chose the kind of like the ChatGPT generated like poster, which was surprising. They chose that. So the CEO just decided that, okay, if that's the case, now let's use AI to design kind of like all our flies instead of just going through the normal graphic design guys who probably take so much time to produce one iteration. However, what he failed to notice was that design looked nice, but it was out of touch with all the brand and every single thing they have produced over the years. It was so out of touch. So the designers who were part of the team, what they probably could have fought for or tried to do, yes, this looks good, this is okay. However, it is out of touch. The colors were so different. Every single thing was so different from it. So, and I think in a way, like as designers, if your foundation is always good, and CEOs come to you, maybe other founders, they come to you, propose some designs to you or something, a UI, and you're able to kind of like criticize those designs based on the foundation that you have. It will make you go for it. They will listen to that logic. However, if you're somebody who does not really have a very strong foundation, when they come out with that particular UI, you probably will also sit there, yeah, like that looks good. And you probably would not have anything to say. So you will notice that after some time, you end up not being so relevant in that company because anybody at all can design a UI. By they design a UI, you point to them, yeah, this is out of place. The visual hierarchy is gone. Information architecture. So you ask them questions. So what if a user is trying to find A, B, and C? Where do they go? And all that. Then they'll listen to you. But that only happens when you have your foundational knowledge really, really strong as a designer. I think Euclid has his paw up.
Yeah, would have loved for this to go on and on and on, and also chip in and allow everybody maybe to say something or two. I was really hoping to hear from the rest of us connected, but I just wanted to point out quickly. Yeah, good. I like the hands, but the time. That's what you have to say something. Mine will be 30 seconds. So we had an AI session last month, and I think what you just said, even though you were not there, there was no recording, but there's quite a lot that you've emphasized from the session that we had in the physical meetup around, not being scared about AI coming. How do we leverage AI today, and the importance of having the foundational knowledge of UX. That was a very, very important discussion we had. So thank you so much for everything. I've learned, I've taken notes. You won't believe, Rashid, I've taken notes. I've sent out some points already to the team. I said, guys, we are doing this from tomorrow. So yeah, thank you so much for the session. Let me hand over to Ransford.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Euclid.
Rashid, sorry to hold
Yeah.
everyone back because the meeting is almost but then I have
It's
to
okay.
ask.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you've been in product design for a while and now you're trying to dabble, or you are in the engineering aspect as well. And it's also something that I'm taking up. I've taken up for a few months now. And I want to ask, with your current stack, why are you with your current stack as opposed to some of the other tools that are out there? Because nowadays you go on social media and see some tools that others are using. People are on Lovable, people are building things in anti-gravity, which is, in my personal opinion, my favorite. I want to know your current stack and then why you are sticking to the stack that you are on right now, as opposed to the numerous tools out there.
So thank you so much, Ransford. So my current stack, let me just mention them. I use Claude, I use Pencil.dev, I use Figma, specifically Figma Make as well. I also use Anti-Gravity and also use Google Stitches, ChatGPT. I also use Codex, of course, ChatGPT, and I use Gemini to generate images. I don't usually use Gemini a lot. I use it to generate images and all those kind of things. And the reason I'm sticking to it, you can see that I'm not mentioning Lovable, I'm not mentioning Replit and all that, is because I want to be able to build production level like applications that people can use. So I'm trying to replicate as much as possible what engineers have always done, and that is building from scratch. So I use how to call it, I like Claude Code because I can build something from scratch. I can just spin up a Next.js project. So mostly I build a Next.js React, the JavaScript frameworks. So after I build on that, I normally use what's the name? Authentication. I can use Clerk, or I use for DB, I can use Neon. Sometimes I also use the Google one. What's the name? I always forget the name. I also use the
Firebase.
Google one. Firebase, yes, I use Firebase as well. And then most of my projects, even though they are live, I have this one that I can just put this. So this is one of my recent projects that I put out there. It's just a WhatsApp bot. And I'll just put it in the chat. You guys can check it out.
Great,
most of my projects, so I put them on kind of like, I host them on Vessel for free. So just go buy a domain on Namecheap and then build it, put it on Vessel, and then connect the domain and every single thing, and then push it out there for people to use. And the reason I do that, I know that of course, when people start using it and the user base grow, I'll probably have to maybe switch to AWS or something. But for now, this like works really well for me, like in terms of testing, kind of like getting real live products to people. I don't know if it makes sense. Yeah, so because Vexel is free, so the tier this thing. So once more users come in and say that, oh, this particular product, maybe people are using it more, then I go ahead and then maybe transfer it to AWS and all that, and use that. And also, it's good for you to do that. It's just that don't fall in love totally with the engineering aspects, because what I'm saying is that because it's so fast for us to build, we are kind of losing focus on the foundations, on the UX aspect. So you build something at the end, you realize that people are not using. There are so many application apps on App Store and Google Play Store that people have built, they've replicated. You go to Product Hunt, people are launching hundreds, 200s of products every single day, but people are not using it. And the reason, because they're not solving a particular problem well. And another thing is also kind of like a distribution problem that is also in another terrain altogether. So these are the stack that I use, but I'm happy to connect in case you have any questions, because we don't have times. I'm going to leave my LinkedIn right now in the chat. In case anybody have questions, please, you can reach out and let's chat. Yeah.
And I just have to mention, don't drop any spoilers for the next season for Invincible. We beg. We beg. Keep it to yourself. Yeah, we beg.
It's so difficult.
The comic readers, we beg you. We know, we beg you, please.
No, I won't spoil. Right. I won't spoil.
What are you people talking about?
Thank you.
What are you people talking about?
Oh, we are talking about Invincible. You should watch it. Yeah, we'll get it so nerdy. Picking out.
Sure. I don't know if Felix, if there's any other one. I know there's a few
No.
2 items or more that you need to do before we close. I would like to ask for indulgence. We have 5 minutes to go, about 5 minutes to go in our plan time. We're over the time, but usually we plan for extra. So in this extra, we have just about 5 or 10 more minutes we can take. So if I don't know if anybody else with a
It's for
question.
baby, it's not for you. Baby's money. It's baby's friend's money.
Okay. Anybody else with a question? Sure. Thank you so much, Rashid. I think drop your LinkedIn. We shall follow you, meet you in person in our next chat, meetups. We're looking at a conference coming up. Felix, I'm wrapping up my session. Uh, Felix, I'm wrapping up my session. For those who are, we joined a bit late. I had a simple task of talking about job chat, and I did some work on that. So basically, we have another session that is coming up in June, and that is our actual meetup session. This one is a workshop, and it was our first of our kind, and I think it was very impactful. There are things that we usually would do in the physical meetup. We have partners, so if you know any partner that would like to join us, they can join us for that. Yeah, we have a number of things that we look up to doing, like growing this into a very bigger Ghana UX community, collaborating with other schools and techs, expanding beyond Accra. I know Rashid is always out of Accra, and that's why we don't get to see him physically. We are on the socials. You can follow us, especially on LinkedIn and Instagram. And as I said, we are growing the community. We've had some of the sessions I showed us this earlier. And just to mention, there's a few of our team members that run the Job Chat Connect. Felix, you've seen, you hear from Gifty shortly. And then Fifi, you've heard from him. Thank you, Felix. That's it for me. I think we leave the last session for the final game. The final game for the day. If you have any question, still drop it. Rashid will catch it. Felix, over to you.
Okay. So before we leave, I think there's a final game like you were saying. I hope Gifty is with us. Gifty will be taking us through that. Gifty Mills. Okay. All right. I don't know if Gifty is with us, but we've been here for far too long, and we didn't want to
Is
keep
she
you
here?
guys waiting.
She's connected. Gifty, can you hear us? Yes. I see your microphone is open, but you can't hear you.
No, Gifty, we can't hear you. Okay. You could. I think we'll have to end it here. I think she's having some technical issues because we can't hear her. Okay, so final announcement before we say bye-bye. So we are having our next meetup next month. This is in person. This is not a workshop. However, we are going to have another workshop in July. So please mark your calendars. Continue to follow our socials, and I'm sure when the time comes, we'll be happy to see you there. But before we leave, we also want you to share some feedback. So kindly do well to scan what you see on your screen. Just give us some feedback, and we would take it up from there. We have like a minute to just quickly scan, and we end the session. But I hope you all can see my screen.
Yeah, Felix,
we can
your
see
screen
you.
is visible.
Okay, all right. So quickly scan a minute and then we end the session. I hope we are all done. Okay. Okay, let me just leave this here while I end things. Priscilla, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that I'll be posting our links to our WhatsApp group in the chat. So if you are not yet in our WhatsApp group, you could join the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Priscilla. Okay, all right. I'd like to thank first and foremost Rashid for giving us his morning and a little bit of his afternoon. Thank you for such a great session. We are grateful for spending your time with us. It was very insightful and we really learned a lot. And we want to say thank you. And thank you to our participants this morning as well. You spent your day with us, in fact, your morning with us, and I'm sure you've learned a lot. And stay tuned, basically. Stay tuned for our next meetup and workshop session as well. All right. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Felix, did you get a winner?
Yes, we got 2 winners. Fifi will be reaching out to them, and we hope to see you guys in the office spending the day with us as well.
Okay,
Right.
cool. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Nice weekend. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Rashid. We
Bye,
we
guys.
owe each other a coffee. We owe each other a coffee.
Yeah, most definitely. See you.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Rashid.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Priscilla, you're sleeping. You're sleeping. Your camera is on.
I was what are you
The
still
camera is
doing?
on. We've all seen you. We've all seen you. You're asleep. You're good,
How are
right?
you?
I'm good,
Yeah.
Charlie. I'm good. I'm going to find something to eat. Why? I'm hungry.
Thank you for joining. Hey.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye.